And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the Board of County Commissioners Board Session for July 28, 2020. By the way of introductions, I'm John Hutchings, the Board Chair, and we have Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser, and we have Commissioner Gary Edwards in the house. We have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, and we have the very well-known Ann Shipley joining us, and from the fair, the fairgrounds, fair board. And I don't see Ramiro. I saw Josh Cummings, our Director of CPED, Community Planning and Economic Development, but I don't see anybody else on my screen, so I don't know if I'm missing anybody. If I am, please just understand.
Yep, thank you.
If you'd like to join us, thank you. If you'd like to join us via conference call, you're welcome to join us. The phone number is 360-252-9020, and the PIN number is 1234. And so now I'd like to begin by with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser. Are you muted?
You got it.
All right, sorry about that. Here we go. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'll ask the county manager, I don't know how empty or how full the boardroom is. Do we have sufficient supply of masks for everybody that may need one?
Yeah, I believe we do.
Okay, still, thank you. So is there an approval, or a motion to approve today's agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the agenda for Tuesday, July 28, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda for July 28, 2020. Is there any changes or alterations to the agenda? Nope.
Yes,
okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. And approval of the board meeting minutes.
Move to approve board meeting minutes from July 21st, 2020.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from July 21, 2020. Any corrections, notations?
No.
Nope. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you very much. That takes us to presentations, and we have one from Community Planning and Economic Development, a fun one.
And I believe Josh is going to lead to that presentation.
Okay, thank you. Josh, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Joshua Cummings, Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, otherwise known as CPED. Within CPED, we have many different units and divisions, and one of them is the Thurston County Fair and Fairgrounds. And under normal times right now, we'd be entering the first few days of the fair starting tomorrow, July 29th, and running through this Sunday. But given these aren't normal times, the Board of County Commissioners took the step to not have the fair this year. But that doesn't mean that a lot of work from a lot of people throughout our community didn't go into helping to plan this event and to keep our fairgrounds looking great and to serve our kids that are in the 4-H and FFA programs. So one of the things that I thought was important was to make sure that we recognize Ann Shipley, but then more importantly, the Fair Board wanted to recognize all of the volunteers that have put all this time and effort into the fair over the last year. But before we get started on that, I wanted to say a personal thank you to Ann Shipley. Ann has been a guiding light on the Fair Board and with the fair organization for longer than I will say, but she can say how long that was. But it just, her guidance and her leadership has really taken the fair into this place where it's survived calamity and it's come back strong. And everything that she's done personally and all the team that's been around her and the Fair Board and fair leadership has done an amazing job. So while they're thanking the volunteers, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank them, the Fair Board volunteers, as well as the Fair Foundation. And I know she's gonna, yeah, good. That's what we do in person, right? A little clapping. Yep. And so just as she goes into her presentation, I'd like to highlight that they, over the last year, 2019, volunteers spent over 11,000 hours working at the fair and fairgrounds to help our community event take place, even though it's not. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't recognize it. One of the big projects that they completed this year was to install solar lights in the lower parking lot. So if you'll drive by now, you'll see that there's lights that are solar powered. They've got a battery that recharges during the day, and then they come on at night, and they look slick, they look great, and they increase the safety down there in the lower parking lot. The other thing I'd say is that while the fair isn't happening, the fairgrounds is still being utilized by renters throughout the community that are following CDC guidelines. And we're also storing equipment that doesn't take any of the interpersonal connection that violates those CDC guidelines. So just to make sure that it's clear, while the fair isn't happening, the fairgrounds is still looking for creative ways to get revenue to make sure that we have as much solvency as possible. So that being said, let me pass the video over to Ann. Ann.
Thank you, Josh. So, as Josh said, ordinarily we'd be welcoming you to the 2020 fair this week, but alas, that isn't happening. So, we do have a presentation to make that we ordinarily be doing at the welcoming ceremonies, but since we aren't having any, we'll do it this way instead. So, I have here a check.
Yeah.
For $365,730.01 that represents 11,529 hours of volunteer labor that was put into the fair last year. And we wanted you to be aware of the outstanding volunteers that make the fair what it is. And we also wanted to tell you that—
And it just magically
So Ann,
just came our way. So I really appreciate that. And on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, we appreciate the Fair Board. In particular, we appreciate you, Ms. Ann Shipley. Thank you so much for everything you do for all of us.
welcome.
Like the Carbonaro effect, how that just magically appeared.
We also wanted to tell you that next year the fair will be celebrating its 150th birthday.
Oh,
So
next
we're
year.
going to have a lot of historical exhibits along with the usual fair, scones, carnival rides, and animals from big to small. So we hope that you'll all come and join us for this historic event. And although we aren't having a fair, we are having the market animal sale on August 1st in Yelm to help out the 4-H and FFA kids who have spent their time and money this year raising their animals for sale. So
Beautiful. Commissioner Menser, anything to add or any comment?
Seeing that number aggregated like that is really incredible to think of that kind of value provided to our citizens, by our citizens, to our citizens. That's great. And thank you for doing that and just presenting that in that way. Puts it all in perspective, how much work goes into it. Next year, we'll have 2 years of pancakes to dole out, so I'll be ready.
great.
Commissioner Edwards.
I would like to just take this opportunity to thank Ann for being the lightning rod for that team of volunteers for all these years and getting done what you've been able to get done out there. Nothing happens without the proper guidance, and you are that lightning rod that has made that happen. So thank you very much for your years of service, Ann, and thank you for your team.
Thank you very much.
And I would like, oh, go ahead. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to, it's sad, it's very sad. And it was tough for all of us to make that decision to not have the fair. Because there's so doggone many nonprofits that depend on the fair, and the kids depend on the fair for their survival and for the sale of animals. And it's fun, it's social, and with the 4-H kids and whatnot. So it was a hard decision. It was an easy decision to make, but tough, you know, had to be made. And though we get fed up and we're done with COVID, it's not done with us yet. But Ann, it's nice to see you not in a bunny suit or in a chicken suit or whatever. It is very good to see you again. And as Ty Menser said, Commissioner Menser, to see it aggregated like that in a number it's illuminating. And because that's what we call at Habitat for Humanity, sweat equity. These men and women and kids, they put all that time and effort as volunteers into the fair with good leadership to make it really something because they care. And that's just sweat equity. They do it not for money, they do it because it feels good. It's the right thing to do. So I applaud them and I applaud you for your decades of service too, Ann. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And since you all are inferring that I've been around a long time, I might as well tell you now, this is the end of year 29 and the beginning of year 30 for being on the Fair Board.
Wonderful. Congratulations on that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for
listening to us.
Oh, you're very welcome, ma'am. Thank you. You're a dear heart. Okay, and so now we're going to move into agenda item number 1, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board. And you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. And Amy Davis up there on the bench is our clerk of the board, and she will manage the timer, and it'll count from 3 down to 0. We ask that you be respectful and no inflammatory or derogatory remarks. When you get up to the podium, as I call your name, please state your name and about where you live in the county. And I'll turn to Romero for the piece on no electioneering.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I'd just like to inform the public who's planning to provide testimony today that please refrain from making any comments that can be considered electioneering or advocating for a particular vote or a candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. So I only have one person that has signed up, and that's John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live off Rich Road over in Olympia. I have been talking recently about what you're going to be considering, which is Budget Amendment 4. I've been very insistent that it's an inappropriate budget amendment, except for the portion that you need to take care of as far as some of the COVID funding that has come in. You have to deal with that. But I have strong objections, of course, to any budget reductions to elected officials, because the elected officials were committed a budget. They have to live by their budget, or they can be personally liable to their budget. Now, my big concern right now is that right at the current time, I went through some of my documents here because we get such an array. I'm shocked. I have 3 different of the same exact form. It has 3 different numbers on it on just about every category. I don't know how you as commissioners can actually evaluate anything if you're not given consistent and accurate information. One of the examples I'll use here, since I have limited time, obviously, is the property tax. Property tax is not something that is affected by COVID. Collection of property tax could be, but based upon our county treasurer and comments that we've established before, there isn't a problem with the collection. It's pretty typical. And so we initially started, there was a document made on April 29th suggesting the amount we'd collect be $40,850,000. And, you know, we knew that was too low because it's closer to $43 million is the amount that it actually is. You don't collect less money. You may not collect it all now. But then we established it's coming in good. On June 29th, Budget and Finance Manager, after some discussion, decided, okay, I'll raise it to $42,570,000. Okay. Today, you get a new addition. Now you're back down to $41,710,000. There's no basis for a reduction of these numbers. It's manipulation. You cannot continue to be manipulated. Sales tax has been a big topic. I was told I was dishing out rhetoric from Mr. Hutchings because I suggested that the sales tax was actually coming in at a much better clip than what was being anticipated. Today, we get some nice news, great news. As of through the end of July, we will be, from the forecasted amount, we're only $50,000 below the forecasted amount for the year. Is that a reason to be jumping off the cliff and diving into changing and reducing everyone's budgets? No. So my point is, you need accurate information in order to make good decisions, demand it from your people. And consider the 3%. You still have a number that's way over-exaggerated for the actual expenses that are going to be spent. You get 3% off of that 108, should be around 105 million. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
No, I have nobody waiting to the, here, Commissioner.
Nobody in the forum or foyer, and nobody has signed up. Is there anybody on the line
And let me double
that would
check.
like to address the board? Now is your opportunity.
Is anybody join us via conference call who would like to testify? If so, please unmute yourselves right now. No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Romero. Agenda item number 2 is the county manager's update following up on any citizen issues.
I don't have any particular updates for you today. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. That takes us to agenda item number 3, which is consent items A through D. And is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve consent items 3A through 3D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent items A, B, C, and D. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office, request for proposal regarding contract.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. The Under Sheriff Tim Braniff is not able to come, so he asked me that I can present, if I can present the item for you today, so I will do that. The proposal before you is to authorize the issuance of requests for proposals for the inmate telephone system and video visitation system for the Thurston County Corrections Facility. And also authorize the Sheriff's Office to sign the contract with the selected vendor. As a matter of background, we provide inmate phone and video visitation services at the Thurston County Jail. There are currently 41 phones, 18 mounted visit tablets, 2 kiosks, 44 tablets, 2 video relay tablets, 2 portable phones, 4 visit tablet mounted on a roll-around carts, and 30 local dial tone phones servicing the Thurston County Corrections Facility. And this is specifically for meet the needs of the inmates. The total number, as a matter of background again, total number of phone calls in 2019 was 175,416. That equates to just about 1.1 million minutes issued to that. Tablet usage in 2019 was about 3.2 million minutes. Almost 87,000 messages were received, and roughly 138,000 messages were sent. The county receives a commission from the use of phone and tablet by the Thurston County jail inmates. And that particular revenue is deposited on the prisoner concession fund, which is used to the health and welfare of the inmates. So any type of revenue associated with those services is used to go back to for the inmates. The telephone access right now is set from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. And in some houses units, perhaps they have a 24-hour usage. Video visitation is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And if approved by the board, the request for proposals will be due on August 18th. And the contract will begin on January 1st, 2021. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Anybody have any questions of Romero for this item?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay. Is there a motion?
Yes. I move to approve the issuance of a request for proposal for the inmate telephone system and video visitation system for the Thurston County Corrections Facility, and authorize the sheriff or his designee to execute a contract for inmate phone and video visitation services at the Thurston County Corrections Facility with the successful bidder.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed issuance and awarding of a contract for the inmate telephone system and video visitation system. Any further discussion on that topic? No.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Agenda item number 5, Public Health and Social Services, approval of 2020 housing contracts.
Yeah,
Is
I believe
Jacinda
Jacinda is going to present the item. Jacinda, are you there?
Sorry, guys. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm here. Jacinda Stoftus with Public Health Social Services, Office of Housing and Homeless Services. So these are our 2163 contracts, and the funding comes from document recording fees. And I believe you guys have a list of those contracts, but I am available to answer questions, or Romero, I may have jumped in front of you. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Gentlemen, do you have any questions or comments?
I guess I would make one comment that it was mentioned these are from recording fees, and they're also obligated for certain expenditures, and this is one of those expenditures. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So is a motion, sir?
Yes, sir. I move to approve 5 contracts and 11 contract amendments for affordable housing and homeless service activities between the county and 8 nonprofit organizations to fund 16 projects for a combined total amount of $1,703,645 for the 2020 program year, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contracts and any amendments that do not change the dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the affordable housing, the 5 contracts. Anyway, you got the motion. It's lengthy. Is there any discussion on that topic? No. I'll just make one comment. Just wanted to reiterate, in that motion is the county is contracting with 8 nonprofit organizations, funding 16 projects for just over $1.7 million through the health and housing, health and social services and council. And it's great work. I don't want that to be missed on anybody.
Commissioner,
yes.
if you like, I can walk you through the specific contract with the specific nonprofits and the amounts, if that might be helpful.
If you have that handy, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it. So
yes, I do have it. Will that be okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the proposal before you, the multi-year contracts include to Catholic Community Services for the Drexel House permanent supportive housing for $90,000. The Catholic Community Services for the Drexel House, and this will be for the shelter services for $79,200. Community Youth Services for the Roses drop-in place, the Street Outreach Young Adult Shelter for $165,000. Community Youth Services for Young Adult Housing for $150,000. Family Support Center of South Sound for the Coordinated Entry and Diversion Programs for $163,792. Family Support Center of South Sound for Homeless Family Services for $69,141. Family Support Center of South Sound for Per Blossom Place, a family support community program, $106,556. Interfaith Works for Interfaith Works Emergency Overnight Shelter Program for $351,037. Interfaith Works for Operating Costs, Daytime Services and Outreach for $266,519. For the Rochester Organization of Families for rental assistance, $10,000. Safe Place for Safe Place Residential Program Operations and Services for $92,400. In addition to that, we have a housing basic needs contracts, which is had been granted to the Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston counties for housing stabilization and data entry for $84,000. Community Youth Services for Haven House Program, $25,000. Family Support Center of South Sound for housing basic needs for $25,000. Rebuilding Together Thurston County for critical repairs program, $17,000. And for the Rochester Organization of Families for housing basic needs for $9,000. Also, the proposal includes two set-asides, one for emergency funds for $125,000, and $25,000 for the point-in-time count that occurs every year in January. And all those are for your consideration.
Thank you, Romero, for spelling it out. Appreciate that. So with that in mind, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Jacinta, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That takes us to 5B, the HCA contract, Healthcare Authority contract. And we have Carrie here, Carrie Hannon. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carrie Hennon, Public Health and Social Services. And yes, I'm here asking for your approval of a contract with the Healthcare Authority for $177,000 for the period of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. This is for the criminal justice treatment account funds, which are earmarked for substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services for criminal justice involved individuals. Over the past year, that fund source supported services to our drug court participants, housing and rental assistance to eligible individuals, assessments for substance use disorders, and parenting classes in the community for eligible individuals. And so going forward, we will support similar services, and there is some additional funding this year. So a local panel will be developing a plan for use of those additional funds. So happy to answer any questions you have.
So I turn to my commissioner seatmates. Any questions for Carrie?
No, the public should know that we really went over this before though too, so.
All right, is there a motion?
Carrie, I'll just one comment. Carrie kind of covered she covered what I was going to ask her, which was just about, you know, are these just going to cover program increases, or is there a capacity for, you know, additional services and beefing up? This is obviously an area that we could really use a lot of resources in the community. It sounds like there will be that ability, and the advisory panel will cook up a good scheme for us to consider later this year.
Yeah, so the legislature appropriated more funding for criminal justice treatment account this year. So we have $131,850 more this state fiscal year than we did last year. And this funding, so it's the CJTA panel is, the members are stated in the statute related to this. So the Sheriff's Office, Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Public Defense, Superior Court, Drug Court. We have a meeting later this week where we will be refining our plan and specifically making a plan around the supplemental allocation, which, yes, I will be back to you in the coming weeks.
And that's a good distinction I'd forgotten, that we have the TST advisory panel,
Yes.
which is more community members. And then the CJTA panel is more elected officials, Frank, and you know, insiders, so to speak. So a different perspective, but hopefully equally good plan I'll come up with.
Correct, yes.
Okay, I'm ready to make a motion. Did you have anything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would move to approve Washington State Healthcare Authority Contract K3971, Amendment 1 for criminal justice treatment account funds to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services to individuals involved in the criminal justice system for a total maximum amount of $371,177 for the duration of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any future amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Healthcare Authority contract amendment number 1 with CJTA account. Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 6, Central Services, the call for sealed bids for Emergency Service Center heating and ventilation, or HVAC.
Mariusz, I don't see him on the screen, but I think Robin is going to present the item for you.
Okay.
Yes, Mariusz sends his apologies. He was unable to be here today. But this item is a call for sealed bids for a project to replace the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning unit, or HVAC, at the Emergency Services Center. That's the building on Pacific Avenue where we house the TCOM 911 center, and we also have supplies for our emergency workers. The project will replace the HVAC system. The one that's there now is old, inefficient, and not working properly. We're going to replace that with a rooftop unit that will address the efficiency and improve the overall operation of the system in the building. I'll try to answer any questions that you might have about this project, but we are asking your approval to call for sealed bids and to move forward with the repair and replacement of the HVAC.
Okay, commissioners, it's your time to challenge Robin on the HVAC. Any questions or comments?
I hope she's got it all right, because we discussed it earlier.
Yeah, we have a few times. All right, thank you. Is there a motion then?
Move to approve the call for sealed bids for TCOM 911 Emergency Services Center heating, ventilation, and air conditioning replacement, project number 25576.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve sealed bids, call for sealed bids for project 25576. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Number 7 on the agenda is our time to report back on things that we have done as commissioners over the last week, boards and work sessions and such. So I'll start with Commissioner Edwards.
Okay, I guess I'll just keep this brief. Besides our normal committee assignments that we seem to report on every week, must get old for some folks that listen to this. My time was really taken up in the past week looking into and talking with constituents about the concern about the McKenna Old Folks Home being turned into a 140-bed treatment and homeless shelter at the same time that law enforcement is being cut back around this state. That is the farthest reaches of Thurston County and the farthest reaches of Pierce County. Although this is actually located 100 feet away from the county line in Thurston County over in Pierce County, the community out there does not feel it was very well vetted. And in fact, I've got many pages of applications that were submitted through the Pierce County Planning Department, and about half of them, the address isn't complete. And I don't know if that address isn't complete intentionally so that the community would not have been advised that this was taking place in their area. But I know the community is quite upset about it, and looking forward to further interaction with the Pierce County folks to see if we can come up with a solution that'll satisfy that area of the county. And I'll just let it go at that. Thank you.
Commissioner Menser?
Thank you. Had a couple of interesting opportunities this last week. One was to tour the new facility that's been set up at the South Puget Sound Community College related to the ballot, not ballot processing, but basically voter center. What you would come to Building 1 in a non-pandemic situation in order to register to vote or fill out your ballot or do some of the other business related to the election, you can now do in much more safe and well laid out place at SPSCC. So don't be afraid to go over there and do what you normally would need to do. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Had a chance to sit in for Commissioner Edwards at the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan Steering Committee meeting. And that plan, I will just let the public know, is about a month away from release in draft form. And then there'll be about a month of community input and feedback. And then they'll look to jurisdictions to potentially adopt it in the October-November timeframe in time to weave it into budget discussions as well. So that's the goal. I attended the City of Olympia's they're having a series of town halls about racial justice issues. The first one related to the criminal justice system. It featured Thelma Jackson of the Black Alliance and our own Larry Jefferson of Thurston County Public Defense, as well as David Owens from the Exoneration Project. And they did a really, I was able to watch about 80% of it. I did have to cut out a little early, but it was an excellent discussion. And they took Q&A on a whole bunch of issues that related to racial justice. I had to check in with Thurston Chamber on issues of concern with their director, David Schaffert. And I spent some time discussing our school resource officer policies with the Rochester and Rainier school districts. The superintendents were kind enough to share some time with me and talk through the issues and the new state law and how we're going to all get this dialed up so that it really works for kids. That was about the extent of my week.
Thank you. Last week, I talked about it on Tuesday that it was coming, and so it happened Thursday night, and that is Governor Inslee created a task force called the Independent Investigations of Police Use of Force Task Force. And there's about 28 or so folks on this from around the state. And that task force has an advisory group that has been formed. And I was selected by the Washington State Association of Counties. They proffered my name, put my name forward to the governor to be on this advisory group to the task force looking at independent investigation policy of police use of force. And so it was a 3-hour meeting last Thursday evening. And on this work, the work of the advisory group, there's about 12 or so of us. WASPIC, the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, WASAC. There's numerous organizations and lay people on that advisory group as well. And we dug into Initiative 940, what's good, what's bad, what are the gaps. And I-940 is the state RCW that removed malice as a standard in discussing or deciding police use of force. And it requires also, 940 requires de-escalation training for all law enforcement and rendering first aid as a requirement to any victims to use of force, and it's required extension of mental health crisis training as well. So it was a lively discussion. 3 hours is lengthy, but it's meaningful work. And the next meeting is coming up, and I look forward to that, and I'll report back on what we do during that meeting. Last Friday morning, I toured the Tumwater Craft District building there across from the brewery next to, or adjacent to Tumwater Valley. And John Peters, the developer, brilliant young man, and he gave me a tour, and it's a beautiful building inside. And the work that was put together, the collaboration between Tumwater and South Puget Sound Community College, Dr. Tim Stokes, and EDC and SJC, all these different organizations coming together to make this happen. It's a beautiful building set up for college kids, for college adults, any college students, I should say, that can actually earn a degree in distilling or brew making, beer making. And the place inside is like, it's set up for samples and tasting for the touring, for the touring public, but it's also set up as a classroom for, it looks like a chemistry lab, looks like a biology lab, and it is all high-tech stuff, and it's beautiful. It's supposed to open up in just a few more months, and then eventually down the road, adjacent to that, between that craft distillery or the craft district building and the La Quinta down on Linderson and Capitol Way, is going to be they're going to build an amphitheater to host a whole slew of community events. It's going to be a really cool state-of-the-art and functional with a purpose type facility, and going to draw more people to this Thurston County, our capital county. And then, of course, I attended the various WASAC, the Association of Counties, their updates on COVID-19 and all the other associated activities regarding this pandemic. And that's all I have. And so turning to Ramiro.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me walk you through your upcoming combined schedule for this upcoming week. The appointments that are going to be mentioned in my report is where at least 2 commissions will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars, and those will not be part of my report. Beginning here in just about 18 minutes, you have 2 public hearings. The first one is for you to receive public testimony on the proposed Rochester sub-area plan update. Following to that, you will be hearing public testimony related to the proposal rate increases on the Black Lake Special Use District. Moving on to Wednesday, July 29th, you have a long day. From 8:30 to 12:30, you have the Capital Improvement Program annual briefing. And from 12 to 1:30, you have the Transportation Improvement Program annual briefing. I will be asking you to work through lunch, so lunch will be provided. And at 3 in the afternoon, you have another public hearing where you'll be receiving public testimony related to the proposed budget amendment number 4. Thursday, July 30th, 8 a.m., you have a briefing related to the Habitat Conservation Plan update. At 9 o'clock on Thursday, you have your regular commissioners check-in, and an agenda will be placed 24 hours in advance. Thursday, July 30th, 3 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to the I-5 corridor study. Moving on to July 31st, 9 in the morning, you have a follow-up briefing where you will be assessing all the comments you have received related to the budget amendment number 4. At 10 in the morning on Friday, July 21st, you have an elected officials meeting. And then you move on to your combined schedule to Monday, August 3rd, which you currently have a schedule, a Washington State Association of Counties Zoom meeting related to the Coronavirus Relief Fund update. And then on Tuesday, August 4th, you'll come back here at 9 in the morning on your regular agenda setting. That's all I have for you.
All right, thank you. And so let me ask the commissioners, is there anything that you have for the good of the order? Nope, okay. I'm turning to the county manager, Ramiro. It is about 2:45. Does staff need to set up at any time to set up for the public hearing? And or do we need to go to another Zoom? So I'm asking, do we recess or are we adjourn?
It is another Zoom because we ask the citizens who would like to testify to register previously. So it is a different Zoom meeting, so we'll have to end this one.
Okay, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.